This is the BassForecast bait breakdown for the Lipless Crankbait. In this short video, we're gonna cover these 5 topics. Key features, top tips, matching forage, rod, reel, and line, and hook set. Let's start with the key features. This is a lipless crankbait, and these are its components. It starts with a plastic body that actually sinks. The nose of this lure is angled down and is usually flat. This serves as the bill of the lure that allows it to dive and causes vibration. Then we have 2 treble hooks, one at the end and one underneath, and a line tie with a split ring attached where you actually tie your line to. Almost every lipless crankbait, regardless of brand, will look about the same. They are usually tall, skinny crankbaits, at least compared to a normal build crankbait, and they will wobble a whole lot less on the retrieve than your standard square bill or shallow diving crankbait. Some lipless crankbaits have rattles inside. Other crankbaits have one big knocker bead. And lastly, some are totally silent. So if the BassForecast rating is high, maybe start with the more loud lipless crankbaits, and vice versa if the rating is low. The retrieval of a lipless crankbait is simple but dangerous, and let me show you why. The first step is to make a long cast, and then let the bait, once it hits the water, sink for a few seconds. But because this is not even close to a weedless lure, if it sinks too much, you run the risk of potentially grabbing grass, leaves, sticks, debris on the bottom, but even worse than that, snagging and losing your lure, which we don't want. So one thing you've got to know is the fall rate of your lure to know how deep in the water column it is to start the retrieve at the right time. And when it comes to the retrieval speed, start with the BassForecast recommended speed and then adjust from there. Now let's discuss the location of the lipless crankbait. Where should you throw it? Well, this thing works best around healthy aquatic vegetation. I call it grass, you might call it weeds, and also around rocks and boulders. This thing can be fantastic. But if you've got healthy aquatic vegetation, do not be shy to throw this lure, because even when it gets snagged and bogged down in the grass, if you rip it out, free that lure, it causes an insane reaction strike that gets some great bites from big bass. When it comes to water depth, how deep in the column should your lipless crankbait be? Well, the good thing is it is a sinking lure, so it can be a variable depth lure, but that also doesn't mean that it's effective in 25 feet of water. So focus your efforts on water shallower than 15 feet, and the shallower you get, you're gonna have to go with a lighter lipless crankbait like this 1/4 ounce. Lipless cranks come in every color imaginable, but the only ones you've really got to focus on are the ones that imitate the bait fish species, because bluegill, baitfish, shad are the only things that a bass eats that swims fast enough to look like this. So in clear water, you should choose more natural colors, baitfish, bluegill imitators. And in dirty water, your chartreuses, your fire tigers, your straight bone, any kind of flashier colors that the fish can find easier. But if a color's not working for you on a specific day, find what works on your body of water. The rod, reel, and line that you need for a lipless crankbait is probably something you already have laying around. We recommend a bait casting rod of at least 7 foot in length, medium or medium heavy power, and anywhere from moderate to fast action. A rod for a lipless should be a little bit stiffer than for a normal crankbait, because sometimes you will be ripping it out of grass, which requires a little bit stiffer of a rod. For line, I go 12 to 20 pound monofilament or fluorocarbon line and a fast gear ratio reel to help you cover tons of water. And lastly, the hook set on a lipless crankbait is so simple. All it is a sweep of the rod when you feel that bite. Because when a bass bites, those thin treble hooks should easily penetrate the mouth of the fish. And as a matter of fact, too hard of a hook set can actually tear the hooks out of their mouth, which we don't want. So just lean into that fish and keep up the pressure throughout the entire fight. We hope this video gives you more confidence in using a lipless crankbait so you can adapt to the conditions and catch more fish. And I'll see you out on the water.